You're running to be a Athens-Clarke County Commissioner.
I sure am. District 8.
And so why are you running?
Well, I think at the heart of it is I care about the community so much. That's what's driving me. It's a sort of a passionate commitment to the community. I had a lot of that from my students and during my work at Athens-Tech, and it's still there in me, and I still want to give back. I'd also say that I was thinking about these questions, and I was thinking about how at Athens-Tech I interviewed a lot of people for jobs, and also I taught students how to think about like writing their cover letters, and that you have to think about how your skills match the position. And I realize that I feel very confident about how my skills and experience match the position of a county commissioner, and that I can do what's needed to be a really effective commissioner.
So how have you been involved in the Athens community or in the local government over the past few years?
Well, that's a perfect follow-up to the last question, because it's that involvement in the community over many years really that makes me feel like I'm in a good position to be an excellent candidate. I'm an excellent commissioner. For years, I worked on local candidates' campaigns to get elected. And so I became very aware of what voters were looking for, what the government, like what the functions of the government were. But also in more recent years, I've gotten more involved in after 2000, in 2005 and 2011. I served on the SPLOST Citizen Committee, and those that job as a citizen there could be a graduate course because it requires such time, and you learn so much about the community, and you have to make very careful decisions about what projects should go forward to voters in terms of to be on the SPLOST ballot. I was also chair of the Oversight Commission. 3 years ago, I was chosen by Mayor Denson to be on a committee that put together a bike and pedestrian master plan. We worked for probably 2 years with a consulting company and put this together, and we have this incredible bike pedestrian plan called Athens in Motion. And now I've been selected to be on the commission that's overviewing that, and I am the chair of that commission. And also, the final thing I've really been working on the last year and a half, I've been working with 100% Athens, working for renewable energy for the community, and I'll talk more about that later.
Okay. Do you have any other experience that you feel qualifies you to be on the commission?
Well, actually, I do, and I think that's my almost 30 years at Athens-Tech. I was a teacher most of the time. I probably taught over 6,000 students. I probably advised just as many students as well. And then the last couple of years, I was Dean of General Education. And because of that, I really got to know everyone in the community, people from our lower income communities, from our Hispanic communities, from our African American, and actually from all the counties around Clarke County as well. So I feel like that gives me a sort of a richer understanding of the community than I would have as a white, overeducated woman.
And if you're elected, what would your top priorities be in office, in your first term in office?
Well, I've been thinking about that, and we haven't mentioned in this interview yet, but we are in coronavirus times. And I think that there may be some changes in what happens in the next year in Clarke County because of the coronavirus. So I do want to bring that up. And I mention that not just because of the reality of what we're living through day to day and people getting sick, but that's going to have a great effect on the kind of tax revenue that the county has. And so the county might have some real hard choices next year in how we spend our tax money, because there may be a whole lot less of it. In terms of other projects, though, I'm very committed to the 100% Athens renewable energy resolution that commits Athens to 100% renewable energy for the government by 2035 and for the larger community by 2050, and I want to make that a priority. There's a bunch of SPLOST projects that are coming forward, like the arena, like the North Athens, the Bethel Homes redevelopment. We have the Judicial Center, the library building. Those are all buildings that I want to make sure that there is a building life cycle audit done on those before we build them. that we consider the energy efficiency, the carbon emissions of the products we use to build those buildings, and we make them as efficient and renewable energy sourced as possible. I also want to work with the fellow commissioners. There's a lot of people working right now on social justice and community issues around equity, and I want to work with the commissioners. We have a great commission right now. I'd like to see us decriminalize marijuana. A friend of mine said to me the other day, he said, I thought Athens was really advanced, but I can't believe they haven't done that already. I'd like to see an increase in our bus system. We are right now experimenting with fare free during this coronavirus situation until the beginning of September. And I think that's something we need to move forward to, both to help people who are have less in the community, but also to encourage alternative transportations in getting people out of their cars. Another thing is, right now we have a great commission. I want to be an addition there in terms of transportation issues. I've been spending a lot of time working with Bike Athens and the Athens in Motion commission. I've also been on the Complete Streets Athens committee. So I'm very aware, and we spend a lot of money in this county. There's my on roads and bikes and sidewalks and such. And I want to be the person there pushing for those things. I don't know if people are aware of it, but there's something called Complete Streets Design. And that's something we need to embrace in Clarke County. That's really a way of shifting the focus of roads to being auto-centric, to really thinking about them being safe for cars, not only cars, but for people walking, for bikes, and for transit as well. And the last thing I want to do is I want to keep an eye on the East Side. I want to help the East Side thrive. We have this new library. I want to make sure it's funded through SPLOST. I want to make sure that that gets built sooner rather than later, and the community's involved in the design and the location of that.
You mentioned the Classic Center Arena in your answer, so I'm just wondering but that was kind of a controversial addition to this SPLOST 2020. So I was wondering what your opinion was on like big projects like that.
On big projects like that.
Well, in the SPLOST, sort of like I remember the jail back in 2011 was also very controversial.
Well, actually, that's a perfect thing to ask me about, because in 2005 the jail was on the SPLOST program, and I was one of the members of the SPLOST committee who voted against building the jail at that time, and then it was put onto the project list in 2011. By the commission, and it wasn't a choice by the citizens. But I think we have to be really careful with those large projects, and the jail is a perfect example of it. There needed to be some improvements in the jail, but the jail design that was presented was one that cost about $65 million in the end to be built. It was built to house almost 1,000 inmates. And right now, we have about 375 inmates a day. That's about the same it was in 2005. So we completely overbuilt that jail instead of, actually, at those meetings, I remember a lot of us saying, hey, we need to focus on getting fewer people in jail instead of building a bigger jail. So I think we need to be really careful on those larger projects and make sure that we are not overbuilding. It's easy to have an architect come in and show you great designs. I want to make sure that we do a good job with this judicial building. We have a lot of money going towards that. And so I ask tough questions when I'm on the SPLOST commission and when I was on the SPLOST committees, and I will ask tough questions as a commissioner.
So do you feel this election is more about the big issues like social justice and climate change, or more about smaller issues like basic government services and amenities, and just generally serving your constituents and keeping them informed?
The other day I heard someone on the radio say, this is not an either-or situation. This is a both and. So I'm just going to say all three. There are big issues. There's a lot of social justice issues. There's the issues around climate change and how we adjust to that locally. There's dealing with our poverty here. But there's a lot of day-to-day issues as well. And I think we're seeing that right now with coronavirus, what's going on. I mean, we depend on our government. We depend on the sewer lines. We depend on the water being clean. We depend on trash being picked up inside the city's limits. So there's a lot of everyday functions of the county that are very important, and the commission has to keep an eye on them and make sure they're there. On the east side, I am going to be there for the east side. I've been knocking on doors up until I had to stop knocking on doors. And a lot of people have really liked Commissioner Harrod's newsletter that he sends out each month. So I'm going to continue to do that. And I'd also like to have some town hall meetings to really get the east side better communicated with and perhaps get them a little bit more involved in what's going on in the government and how we can really make the east side thrive.
How do you feel about taxes? Do you feel our local government is adequately funded right now? And if not, how would you change that? And are there some taxes you like or dislike more than others?
Well, taxes, I'm probably a little unusual in that I'm not, again, I don't go, oh, I hate taxes. I mean, taxes are what keep our local government running. And our local government is not just the bad government. Our local government is our community. It's taking care of us. And again, with the coronavirus, we're seeing this, how much we depend on our community. We're looking to our leaders right now. So in terms of taxes, they have to be there. They're our contribution to keeping up all these resources. I want there to be parks. I want there to be fire service. I want there to be a police system. I want our roads to not have potholes in them. So taxes, I'm okay with. What I am concerned about for a lot of people right now are property taxes, simply because the prices of homes are going up, the value of homes are going up, and people's property taxes are going up. I think we need to find ways to make sure that our seniors, people on fixed incomes, people with lower incomes, don't get caught into a situation where their property taxes go up and up. We also have our SPLOST tax. There is, we pay 8 cents on a dollar here. 3 cents goes to, I hope I get this right, to the state. 1 cent, I think I'm off. 4 cents goes to the state. One local penny goes to the general fund. And then there are 3 SPLOST. There's the T-SPLOST, the E-SPLOST, which goes to our schools, completely separate from the county government, and then the regular SPLOST as well. I do regret that those SPLOST pennies actually are taxed on food and groceries as well. That's a state rule. It's something I hope that we as a commission can communicate to our local representatives, that it would be great to get that off. We need to not put a burden on our large population here who are living in poverty. And, another big thing, of course, is UGA. UGA does not pay any taxes. That's a lot of property in our town. I know some people have talked about ways of coming up with some, what do we call them, fees that could be put onto events and other things that the university has. That's what I learn a little bit more on. And I will say, as commissioner, one thing I'm committed to is learning more in things. There's a lot of areas that I know some about, but I'm not an expert on. Taxes is one I'm going to learn more about.
Why should voters choose you over your opponents?
Well, I think actually that's pretty easy. I think that we are all there are 3 of us, and I think we're all left of center. I think what I bring to a commission seat is my years of experience working with the community. One of the commissioners has written on my website, he said, I know Carol can do the work because she's already been doing it. I know the commissioners not because I've been playing golf with them or at the country club, but because I've been at the meetings for months after months and years after years. They know me for my service to the community. Also, I'm retired, and I'm very fortunate. I have a state retirement system from my years at Athens-Tech, but that means that I can be a full-time commissioner, and being a commissioner is a part-time job, but I will be a full-time commissioner.
And is there anything else you'd like to talk about that we didn't get a chance to mention?
I think the only other things, I just want to clarify that I am a Bulldog once graduate. I got my doctorate degree here. I raised 2 daughters here. I had a great career here. So Athens has given me a really rich, fulfilling life. And I'd like to make that possible for as many people in Athens as possible. I also grew up with the idea of giving back. I gave back through my job. That's just who I am. And I also have leadership skills that come a little bit more easily to me than they do to others. So I'd like to be able to use them. The other thing, I'm going to say one more thing, and that's I live right out the door, the window over there is the North Oconee River. And I do want to work to make sure this outdoor, the natural world is taken care of here in Athens. And that we take care of our air, we take care of our water, and we make sure that we do not neglect our environment as we grow. The last thing I want to say is that we don't know what's going to happen with the election on May 19th. And already we've had the presidential primary move to May 19th from the end of March. I would like to encourage everyone to go online and get the absentee ballot form so that you can vote by mail. That's available to everyone. You do not have to have an excuse for that. And I would encourage you to do that sooner or later so that your vote will be guaranteed in this coming election, both for the District 8 election and for all the county elections, the U.S. senators, and the president. Anyway, thanks a lot, Chris.
Great. I will link that in the description of this video.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Great.
So I would check your hand, but thanks for...
Yeah,
thanks for
elbow. Okay, everyone stay safe.